What's up, guys? It's Jess Blake here. We're here with another video. Just giving you guys a little bit of heads up. We have all of the angles a little different. That's just because there's pictures up on the walls telling our location, and we didn't want to put that up on social media for everybody to see. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting canvas, it's just a balayage done by another stylist. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite the balayage she wanted, so I'm going to fix it up for her, and this unfortunately happens a lot. So this is why client consultation is so important, to make sure that you are giving your clients exactly what they want, as well as to bring in those pictures and everything else such. So I'm going to start by giving her this money piece, because I could tell that the brightness didn't really come up around her face. It was more kind of just like horizontal all the way around. So to bring up these money pieces is really going to give it a little more dramatic look, as well as drive attention towards her face when people look at her hair, because obviously lightness, that's what lightness does. So I'm going to go in with some slices and weaves and really just bring up those pieces up there in the front. She also wanted more of a dimensional balayage, so as you can tell, is even though we're going with the lightness right now, or the bleach right now, I'm going to do a little more here in the back. That way she can pull it up in a ponytail, and then we're really just going to go in with that root, and we're really just going to bring that root down and blend it in a lot more, and this is what's going to give her a lot more dimension and a lot more movement in her balayage. So as you can see, the way I decided to do her balayage was a V section there in the back. So how I decide what techniques I want to use on my client is completely based on the curvature of their head. So I do it completely different on every single person, and I completely just go off the curvature of their head. And this is the kind of partings and techniques I would have used if we were just doing a regular balayage, and I'm just going to do the same thing, just work backwards. So as you can tell, is I'm just putting that root color right there on the roots, and then I'm going to use my fingers to drag it down, using pretty good tension with my fingers as I hold the hair, and then the fingers that I'm using to really slide down that color is actually very light tension. The reason why you want to use very light tension right there is because if you grab too much color and bring that down, you're just going to make another line of demarcation just lower, and that's not what we want. We want a good blend and transition from dark to light. And this is what I love about balayage, is the fact that there's no really right or wrong way to do it, as well as it harmonizes on both sides and is symmetrical. So the techniques I use, if I decide to switch up the techniques throughout the hair, I most definitely do. I'm not against that, but I make sure that what I'm doing on one side, I'm doing on the other side. And then right here in the middle, I always bring that down just a little bit more, because I really want it to be as dimensional as possible right there in the back solid of the head. So I'm going to bring that down more, as well as I'll weave some pieces out, make those pieces even darker. And I feel like this is what a lot of people are really scared to do with balayage, is a lot of people feel like all the pieces at the bottom have to be light. That is not necessarily true. In fact, if you want that really good movement dimensional balayage, you're going to want some pieces there at the end darker, because that's what's really going to give it that movement. So that's what I'm doing right here, as well as I feel like people hear it a lot with lightener, how less is more with balayage. Absolutely. You really want that dark in there to give it dimensional, or else you take the risks of it turning into an ombre or something. And if that's what the client wants, go for it. But most of the time, they really want those dimensional balayages. Especially here in the back, in that where I start to reach the occipital bone, that's when I'm really going to put a lot of darkness in, because most of those pieces are going to hide when our hair's down or up. Most of those pieces don't show a lot, so you really want that to be the dimension, and I'll lighten all around those pieces in kind of like a triagonal way. And that way when the hair moves, you see all that dimension and that dark in there. And then when it lays down, obviously it's super blonde. And then when you curl it too, it looks super pretty. So yeah, I'm just going to do these V sections in the back all the way up the hair. I'm leaving that middle piece out, obviously, and then I'll cut horizontally. So I'm going to cut diagonal right there on the sides and then horizontally right there in the middle. And creating that like upside down triangle, I guess you would say, like I said, is what's going to create a lot of that dimension. I'm in love with triagonal partings when it comes to balayage. I feel like that's what really gives you those really dramatic results. And diagonal pieces obviously give it a lot of like movement, I guess you could say. Yeah. Shout out to Brad Mondo. We're sitting there watching Brad Mondo as I do her hair. Love him. Please don't critique my work. Well, maybe privately, but I'll probably honestly be embarrassed if you do it. But yeah. Anyways, I can take some critical, but maybe not with everybody. I'm just going to shut up now. Anyways, here on the sides. So on the sides here, I brought in some lighter pieces. So same thing when she puts her hair up, she has those brighter pieces. And then I'm going to take diagonal all the way up. And I'm going to do the same thing on both sides. I'm pretty sure I didn't even show the other side because they are literally going to be diagonal. Yep, I didn't. So here's the end result. As you can see, lots of foils. In between the foils, I added some of that darkness too. That's just to really blend out that line of demarcation she had. Then we're just going to rinse her out. And then she wanted to look, she is also a hairdresser, so that's, normally I would not let my clients look over like that, but since she does it, she just wanted to see how the toner was processing, as well as, this is her toner, this is all her products, so she just wanted to make sure she picked out the right toner, and as you can see it actually processed as we go. It's like toners are really cool in that way. You can like see the color it's turning into. And this is our end result. Broughten up there in the front. As well as you can see, the lighter pieces are actually blonder. And that's because we really added in that dimension and all of that jazz. And it's a lot more dimensional. I love it. I love how they changed. And that is all. Alrighty. Have a good one, guys.